I'm Marissa.
We are Anime Jam! Woo! So, this is the last month of the year.
Yes, it is.
And, we've talked about so many topics about anime. And we want to end the year with our animation favorites. So, basically, like, some of our favorite scenes from a certain series that really stuck out to us.
Yes.
And I guess anime or anime movies that I want to mention would be like Akira. Like the whole movie is beautiful. It's like one of the most influential anime movies of all time. It came out like in the 80s?
Is it the 80s? Yes.
Okay.
It was the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even for its time when it came out, it was like renowned as pretty stellar. Like it was really good for the time that it came out.
Oh, and it still holds up to this day as well.
Yeah. It has that nice 80s charm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, I guess like the city pop kind of like just grungy. I don't know. It's interesting to try
dystopian.
Yeah. Yes.
And there's this iconic scene that a lot of other animation and movies copy, and it's that motorcycle slide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's an iconic one.
Yeah. The last time I saw it was in the movie Nope by Jordan Peele, or directed by Jordan Peele. And Keke Palmer's character did that. I was like, yo, that's Akira.
Nice.
Another great animation I want to mention, Mob Psycho. That's really good. It's up there. Like, it's a lot of flashiness. So, in the series, the story is about Mob, who has psychic abilities, and so you could see a lot of his energy being translated through color and other wonderful things. So that's really cool. Do you have any other like honorable mentions you want to talk about?
I saw a lot of isekai movies this year, and so those are usually animated very well. I saw Sword Art Online, one of the movies. I couldn't tell you the title, I'm sorry, but it came out this year. And then the Overlord movie. And I actually really liked the Overlord movie, having not known too much about the story and the premise. Mm-hmm. A lot of isekai follows a fantasy genre, so there's a lot of magic and like power wielding. And so those were really fun to watch. I think just not knowing too much about the story, but being still captivated by the animation and all of the effort that goes into making those like movements very fluid was really cool to see. So,
and for those that don't know what isekai is, it's like you're in the ordinary world, and then suddenly like somehow you get pulled into another world, and so you're kind of stuck there.
Yeah.
So that's a really interesting genre to discuss another time.
Yeah, it's a popular one. But yeah, that would be my honorable mentions for this year.
Nice.
Yeah.
I like that. I've talked about this scene to Marissa like maybe 3 times now or so.
Like every year she mentions it.
Yeah. I love it so much. So, Attack on Titan, I think I mentioned before, it's like one of my favorites. The story is so good from beginning to end, and we're trying to get Marissa to watch it, but we keep forgetting. And
it's also very daunting to me.
Yeah.
To start it. So
yes.
One day.
One of my favorite scenes is from season 3, episode 2, when Levi is fighting against the military police, and it's just so much. It's action packed, and there's so much fluidity in the animation. Like, you could follow him without like getting, I don't know, some people get nauseous, but but because he's like swinging through the town, and he's
Yeah.
like doing all these flips and other acrobatic moves. Like you could follow him just fine. Like it's so smooth. And Wit Studio animated this. I know Mappa is like really big right now, but they only did the last season of Attack on Titan. So it was really cool to see Wit Studio like progress. Like when you go from season 1 to season 3, it's amazing to like witness like
Yeah.
their progression. So
Yeah, it's really
Um,
cool. And I even asked you if it was like Mappa who animated that fight scene. You're like, no, it's Wit. And I was like, oh. And I feel like they had done a couple of other animes too really well. I just
Yes.
haven't heard anything from them.
They animated Vinland Saga,
Oh,
and then Mappa took that project from them too. I don't want to say took it, but I'm not sure how studios work really when it comes to projects, but Wood Studio also gave Mappa that project because they
Interesting.
started working on other things. So
oh okay.
yeah, I don't want to say Mappa stole it. So
Right, yeah. They came up with some kind of partnership.
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And let me show you a little clip here so you can see like what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, and his fight is, like you said, very fluid. Watching it, so we watched it this morning, basically, again, to kind of refresh ourselves. And I have not seen, like, the series like Janelle has, so just watching it again was really cool. I am quick to get into things, especially if they, like, capture my attention and they look... What's another word for really cool?
Awesome.
They look
Spectacular.
spectacular.
Fantastic.
I think it's just, yeah, like, and I'm the type of person who loves a good fight scene. When like two people are just kind of like either, I guess, brawling it out, or in this case, Levi is being pursued by the military police and evidently his uncle.
Yes.
So this is a story, that's a whole storyline background lore that I don't know of, but just watching the fight was really cool. And you can see how in that one particular scene, Levi enters into this bar to kind of try and, like, I guess to get a break from the military police
Yeah.
surrounding him. So then you get to witness everybody else's reaction in the bar to this, like, person running in, being chased by other people.
Oh, everyone knows Captain Levi, so he is very famous in like their whole town, country.
Village or something. Yeah.
There's a
The ring.
There's a whole all the walls, but he is part of the Survey Corps, and yeah, everyone knows who he is. So he's pretty famous, like
Yeah.
throughout all the. I guess that's the village.
Yeah.
There's so much to this. There's so much world building in the story. Like,
Yeah. Well, they seemed to know him whenever he ran into the bar.
yeah.
They would all call his name, basically.
Yeah,
So he's from the Scouts.
The bartender. Yeah, the bartender is like, it's Captain Levi. But
Yeah.
you hear the bartender's inner thoughts, and he's like, he's all jumpy.
Yeah, he seemed very, like, afraid, but also, like, in awe that Levi even entered his bar.
Yeah.
So there's that whole scene, and it's actually laid out really well, because in that scene, Levi is talking to his uncle, but Levi is behind the bar, so he's not physically in this scene for some of it. And at one point, he's facing the drinks and stuff. He's facing that way, totally opposite of his enemy.
He's
But
crouching, by the way. He's not like.
Yeah, he's hiding behind the bar.
Yes.
So
he's not standing.
right. They can't see him.
There you go.
So in order for him to talk to the enemy, he then like rotates a wine bottle around so that he can see the reflection and then therefore see the enemy. So I thought that was actually a really good
That was
like
smart. It shows
touch.
it shows his wit and intelligence.
Yeah, and that's like I don't know if that is in the manga, but just making sure to include that in the animation was really nice. And I don't think it's something we usually notice. We kind of just see that and we're like, oh, yeah, like, of course he's going to do that so you can see the guy he's talking to. But it's very easy to just skip that part and just go straight to the fighting again.
Yeah.
So I liked that. That was a good, not an Easter egg per se, but a little thing that they did. And then, of course, he, like, grabs a shotgun from the barkeep, the manager or whatever, and, like, you know, does this really cool move where he, like, shoots him from behind.
Yeah, so, like, the shotgun is upside down, and Levi shoots and aims at his uncle.
Yeah, so it shows his, like, gun skills and everything, too.
And the bar is surrounded by the other military police. So Levi, like, threw out a chair, but... Oh, he threw out a chair, and then someone from the police started shooting. And these guns are... They're attached to their ODM, like, their gadget thingy. And I think Levi knows, like, there's... they could only shoot once, and they would have to reload. So him throwing out the chair and then the person shooting, he already is out of ammo, and that's when Levi came out to attack him. So, he's so smart.
He did, like, a fake...
Huh?
A fake out.
Yeah,
he threw
did.
a chair out, and then it, you know, they're like, oh my god, it's him, and the dust clears and settles, and it's just a chair.
Yeah. It's so incredible. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, it's a really good scene.
He's one of my favorites.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Highly recommend to watch. Even if you don't watch Attack on Titan, it's just cool to marvel at probably how, like, a lot of effort that took to even animate. Because I don't know if there was any CGI in that. Because quite often animation studios will use that to help blend everything together. But maybe it was all fluid. I don't know.
Yeah. Could be hand drawn.
Yeah.
Not sure.
And that's crazy. That's incredible.
Right. It would be ridiculously incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Do you have something?
So another kind of, like, amazing example of animation, like, at its finest and just different, is I recently watched Beastars Season 3, and this is part 1, so part 2 will come out next year. And in part 1, the opening for Beastars is kind of a mixed media, like, hand-drawn. There's stop motion animation, and we'll put a clip here too so that you can see that opening. But it's really interesting. So the entire show is animated. There are a few scenes that are CGI just to, like I said, get that, like, fluid motion in. But the openings, I think, are very beautiful because they honestly they set the scene for the entire show. And most openings are that way, where you see characters from the show, you see scenes in which, like, they're crying or they're triumphant, and you're able to tell what that season is probably going to be.
Yeah, the opening sometimes alludes to something in the story that will come up later on.
Exactly, yeah. And so Beastars is no exception, and every single season that they've had, their openings and endings have been very, I think a lot of love and work went into that, because you don't see those sides of the story through the manga. Like, a manga's not going to have an opening scene. So I think that's really cool that people get together and they come up with a concept and they say this is going to be the opening for the show. I liked the kind of blending of it. You'll notice when you watch the scene that it's mostly, like, done in paper. So they drew the characters, cut them out, and then have them, like, against a background that's also paper. That's so cool.
That is really cool.
They have scenes in which they get stop motion, so you got a little car, like, trucking along, and to show that it's, like, moving and there's like flowing environment or whatever. They do, like, cotton, and so it's like cotton that's kind of, like, shrinking and pulling. That's cool to me.
Yeah, it was really cool to see. That was this morning was the first time watching that clip, and it was like, what's the word? Like, I was like, oh, wow. I was amazed of how fluid, like, each scene was, because, like, it goes through different types of art media.
Yeah. absolutely.
And stop motion is no joke. That takes a long time. So I'm always appreciative whenever someone does stop motion.
Yeah, absolutely. So that honestly, just like those openings, particularly the newest one for season 3, that one is really nice, and it's the same for the ending as well. And all of the openings for Beastars are done by the band Ali or ALI.
Ali or Ollie?
Yeah, and their music is really good.
Oh,
They
yeah.
remind me of like Cowboy Bebop's opening.
They're kind of like a funky fusion type of genre.
Like jazz funk almost.
Yeah.
With all the like trumpets. Oh,
Yeah.
so good.
You might recognize them from Jujutsu Kaisen's ending in season 1. It was Lost in Paradise. And that also had a really fun animated scene for the ending.
It did.
It was like...
It was like 2D. It was like very flat.
yes, it was
Very flat.
But it was so cool, like how they did it.
They like phased colors in and out. And they're very like, I don't want to say aggressive colors, but they were bold colors. Thank you.
Yeah.
They were very bold. And that was also an interesting like stylistic choice for their was it an opening or an ending scene?
It was the ending.
The ending scene.
Yeah.
And like you don't see that too often in animes. It's usually like parts of the anime will be included in the opening, and it's all kind of the same look, with a very like awesome song, like a sad song or beautiful song or whatever, right? Like it's always really nice and piano-y. But these types of media usually, and I wonder if it's like a correlation between the band Ali or Ollie and the anime that they're partnering with. Like I wonder if they like work together in some way to come up with it.
I'm sure they do.
You think so?
Yeah. There
That's
has to
cool.
be some type of collaboration.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so that's the one that really stuck out to me. I highly recommend just watching the anime because I love Beastars. But the openings is also cool to critique and look at.
Oh, yeah. And, yeah, Ollie did the first season, too. So,
Yeah,
yeah. I love that they continue to work with them.
me too.
All right. And my next one is from One Punch Man. I think this was the very first episode in season 1, and it's Saitama versus the Subterraneans. And I really love this. I love this scene. So basically, Saitama is like he's sleeping, and he has that little like snot bubble.
And it's like,
Yeah. And all of a sudden he gets grabbed by another creature, and you find out it's one of the Subterraneans, and the Subterraneans, they're the original Earthlings, but humans have invaded their space, and now they're like way below the earth and underground, and then they claim to get rid of all humans. And so Saitama, he is the One Punch Man. That is his power. He literally does one punch and can destroy somebody or something. And so he is fighting all these Subterraneans. It is so cool to see like the impact frames, and I guess there's some fluidity in it too, but like it's like amazing. I'm just like
I love that you said you really like the impact scenes because I don't think I ever really noticed it like that.
Yeah.
And what Janelle's referring to is the point of contact where both enemies are like kind of meet together, but the punch or whatever's going on is so powerful that like all colors kind of saturated, and it's almost like the drawing itself, like Saitama's being ripped apart, right? Because and that's really cool. Like I don't think I ever really noticed that until you mentioned it this morning. Yeah, so the impact scenes in that snippet is really good.
Yeah. And then I guess I'll spoil it. Well, he finally meets the king, like after defeating
Subterranean king.
Yeah, after defeating his subordinates.
Right.
And then the next scene goes into him waking up and he sees like I don't know. Oh, I don't think they're in costumes. They're just monsters that they are the Subterraneans, but they're like wimpy compared to his dream.
Yeah.
And so he's like, this was all a dream.
Yeah, it's like much smaller in size.
Yeah.
And the initial scene, they're like very big. They're bigger than him. And you're just like, oh man, like these guys are really going to beat up Saitama. But he wakes up and he sees the king.
Yeah.
The king is like,
He's, I don't know, much smaller than
he's like his at
dream.
his size. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's just like waving his arms around. You're just like, oh, okay, so this guy is pretty easy to beat.
And I guess the build up to that was also funny, or it added to the humor, because Saitama is like, yes, this is the fight that I wanted. This is the type of fight that I need. I waited my whole life for this. And then, like, it goes to him waking up, and it's all a dream.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, that was really cool to see too, because he really enjoyed himself in that fight. And the whole premise of One Punch Man is that literally one punch just takes out his enemy. You do that once or twice and you kind of get bored. There's no fun in the fight.
Right.
You know, there's no like, why am I even doing this? At some point you kind of lose your motivation to even do anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was cool that he got really into it.
Mm-hmm.
As dreams are.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really fun scene to watch. There are more scenes in One Punch Man that are really great as well. And I also want to mention that One Punch Man and Mob Psycho are written by the same mangaka.
Mm-hmm.
One. That's the name. One.
Yeah. ONE.
And we have their manga in our system, so it's accessible, I think, both through Libby and physically.
Yeah, and they're both kind of like a comedic relief type of genre, as well as like One Punch Man's more, shonen, and Mob Psycho is like supernatural. But they both share similar humor.
Yeah.
So that's what's really funny about it.
I think in Mob Psycho, Reagan, so Mob's boss. Oh, that sounded weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mob's boss, Reagan, when he opens up his phone, I think he has a flip phone. That's why I did the motion. His wallpaper is Saitama. So
That's cute. That's cool.
Yeah.
What an Easter egg. Like, I love when shows do that and they connect each other. That's cool.
I'm not sure if it's the same studio, but I know I believe Mob Psycho is by Bones.
Yeah, they are.
Oh, okay.
My last one that I kind of just want to briefly go over, but I think is really good, and it's been gaining some traction too this year, is the anime Frieren. And we did talk about it in a previous episode. Janelle explained about the show a little bit. So kind of have an idea of what it's about already. But basically, Frieren is this magical... She's an elf, right?
Yeah,
a magical elf. She's like really old, 1,000 years old.
Oh my God.
Like, she just doesn't pass away, right?
Yeah,
she's
like immortal.
yeah,
I guess,
immortal,
or-
I suppose. I haven't really watched the show, so I don't really know the details, the background again. But yeah, she's very powerful. And I know in this world that she's known as like a really powerful, I guess, mage. I don't want to say wizard. I think it's mage. So that being said, she's really good at her job, basically, and she does take on this mentee that she's kind of
Or
like an
apprentice?
understudy.
Oh, is that the word, apprentice?
Apprentice, thank
Oh,
you.
okay.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to think of. Apprentice. And the apprentice is learning from Frieren on how to be a great mage as well. And so there's a lot of scenes in which they're training together, and Frieren is showing her different, I want to say, like, tricks and tips for being as good as she is. And so there's one scene where Frieren's apprentice, and the name escapes me, she is fighting a villain in this scene. And so one of the tips that Frieren releases is that you have to conceal, like, they all use mana, so you have to conceal your mana so that the enemy that you are facing, your opponent, doesn't quite understand how strong you are. And that's an advantage for you, right, for them. So in this scene, it's animated really well, and the apprentice is a little bit like Frieren, where they don't really show emotion in their face.
So they're stoic.
Yeah, very stoic. So there's just this like kind of petite looking girl, and her face is all stoic, but she's basically beating this guy up with, like magic and using runes, and like, it's really cool the way it's presented. We'll put it here.
I love when she like shields herself, and it's kind of like, I think it's like in other shows as well. Maybe Doctor Strange does it too, but there's like a magical barrier that comes up, and like it's a beautiful like circular symbol thing.
Yeah.
Like kind of like a transmutation circle.
Very much like runes everywhere.
Yeah. It's like,
yeah, yeah. It's really cool. I love that. And the way they show like her dress flowing as well is really good. Her hair kind of flows with everything that's going on. And in the scene, she is very powerful. So she's hidden her, like, I guess, power level, her stats from this guy. This guy is very arrogant, like the villain she's facing, as most good versus bad, like, what do you call it, fights go. This guy's talking a lot. So he's just like, I'm better than her. I'm faster than her. I'm stronger than her.
oh, her magic is weak.
Yeah, I'm going to beat her. And she's just standing there, like, basically she puts him in a corner. And he then realizes how strong she truly is. That whole animation scene is really, really good. And then on top of that, a couple of scenes where Frieren is fighting against her own opponents as well, you realize, oh wow, this is like the animation studio who has animated this series really does love the series. And you can tell that they have poured a lot into it. I don't know the animation studio.
I'm not sure either.
But like it's just really good. So I highly recommend. It's also a really popular anime right now for good reason. It's just a good series.
The show is real. I mean, not the show. Sorry, the story is really like heartwarming too.
Yes. Yeah.
Because it's Frieren beyond Journey's End. So like her journey ended like when they defeated the Demon King, and like what do you do after that?
Yeah.
So it's like following that journey of, maybe it's a new beginning of like something that something that ended, obviously, but
she's
like
basically retired.
Yeah.
So she's trying to figure out what's life like after retirement.
Yes.
It's really good. So in the case of like good and bad animation, I know that that's subjective. Some people like different things. It's different than, so there's a lot of controversy around Blue Lock season 2. I think season 1 was fine. I think it was animated okay.
Yeah.
But season 2 got a lot of flack because it was very choppy, right?
Yes.
Very choppy. They used a lot of stills, and so maybe the animation studio didn't quite have like the budget to really produce the series even more. And so that's kind of disappointing for fans because you love the manga, or maybe you've never read it, but you're really excited to see like the second season of Blue Lock, and it just ends up being this like, it's not really engaging. Like you can't really get into it because it's just a bunch of stills of scenes coming in. And so that's the example of like maybe not so good animation. They still put it out, and I'm sure some people still like it.
Yeah. You said it was like The Way of the House Husband?
A little bit. But that one, see, when we watched Blue Lock, the choppy one, it just looks like unfinished. Like,
oh, I see.
Like they kind of rushed it. Whereas The Way of the House Husband is similar, where it's different panels, right, and stills, but those look better.
Okay.
Like it's drawn really well.
Yeah.
And there's like motion in it and everything to kind of get to the next scene.
So maybe it's like part of the charm.
Yeah.
Because like The Way of the House Husband is a comedy, but I don't know, personally I would have liked it to have more fluidity.
Yes, I agree. Like, I would have liked it to be fully animated. You know, I want to see them, like, run all the,
Yeah.
I want to see the fight scenes. And in that case, it was a little disappointing because you're like, oh, it's basically like the manga, just
Panel by panel.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, man.
It was done well though,
Yeah.
and so that's just a different like animation style, right?
Mhm.
And then Blue Lock's just
Yeah, I understand when you go from you go from season 1 to like season 2, and it's like significantly different. It's
yeah,
disappointing.
yeah.
Whereas Way of the House Husband, that's how it started, and I'm not sure if they're going to make more, but yeah, the manga is really good.
Mhm.
I think the show is on Netflix, but you could definitely check out the manga from the library.
Yeah. Yeah, so those were my scenes that I really liked this year.
Mhm.
Definitely check them out.
And a big series that came out this year was Arcane. It's not a Japanese animation. It's based on the League of Legends games,
Mhm.
and so it's adapted from the video game. It got turned into a series, and the animation is it is unique from what I've seen in other shows. I think it's a French studio that does
Yeah.
the animation,
Mhm.
and it was so good. Like
Mhm.
season 1 and season 2, so good.
And I remember, I don't know if it was this year we talked about it, where, because I had mentioned Arcane before, but you hadn't watched it, and then after a while you decided, yeah, let me go ahead and do this and
Yeah.
watch it.
Uh-huh.
And you liked it.
Yes.
When I first saw it, this was like a few years ago, and I was pleasantly surprised at like how good the story was and the animation. Like, I don't know how to describe it. The animation, the way that they draw the characters in Arcane, it's very like gritty, and it's not. How to put this? It's like,
It's not flat. It's
yeah. I feel like our goal for next year is to learn animation definitions and like
the vernacular.
how to describe it.
We need to learn adjectives.
Well, yeah, and like I feel like some of these are very technical that we're trying to come up with, and we don't know
Yeah.
the technicality of things
Yeah.
for animation. But it's good. It's different.
Mhm.
It's good.
And it's so cool to see. So it's like magic and technology trying to like, I know they're trying to harness the power
Yeah.
of like magic with technology or something, but then like there could be consequences to that. And that was like part of the story, but or maybe it's like the whole plot of it, but then you learn about these different characters, and they're from the League of Legends game, so these characters are. I never played League of Legends, but I read somewhere like, oh yeah, so that is that's how the hammer works, or blah blah blah. Like,
Mhm.
so it's really cool that Arcane stayed pretty true to the games.
Yeah,
I hope that makes sense.
it does.
Okay.
Like they used aspects of the game in Arcane because they're using characters from the game
Right.
to make this story. But as I understand it, Arcane is not really connected to League of Legends. Like the story isn't part of the game,
Mhm.
right? It's just like a separate storyline
maybe.
with the characters in it.
I don't know.
I don't know either, since I haven't played League of Legends.
Yeah. I can't speak on that.
Yeah, but that's what I heard was that it was different.
Mhm.
If it is different, that's really cool because they came up with this entire like original animation. They came up with an entire storyline and everything, characters. There's politics in it,
Oh yeah.
so
Mhm.
it is good.
Mhm.
Highly recommend too.
Yes. So those are some of our favorite animations, either like the movie or the whole series or just a particular scene.
Or an opening.
Oh yeah, opening too, yes. So what are your favorites? Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. We can discuss.
Mhm.
If it's Blue Lock season 2, I don't know what to we'll discuss.
We don't judge.
Yeah, we don't judge, we listen.
Yes.
All right. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you.
We'll see you next year.
Yeah, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.